What's up, guys? It's Cole again. It's been a little bit of a gap, probably not that long, but yeah, I wanted to do this a few days ago. Some other stuff came up. Anyway, I try to do this as a pretty regular thing, but stuff gets in the way. Anyway, today we're gonna talk some Wolverine. What's that you say? You've heard of this character? Well, I'm not surprised. He's sort of popular. Actually, Wolverine probably is the consensus pick as like the #1 most overused comic character ever. I won't say overrated. He probably is overrated to a certain extent, simply because, he's everywhere, and he's in about 14 titles a month. So, it took me a little while to figure out what I wanted to talk about and what I wanted to highlight. I mean, obviously, if you're looking to read some Wolverine, there's no shortage of titles out there, including current ones. He's had so many different series and things like that, ever since emerging from the pages of the X-Men as a really popular character. What I decided to do was talk about some of his appearances in a now defunct title that was called Marvel Comics Presents. This is a compilation for Wolverine, the first 10 issues of Marvel Comics Presents, only highlighting the Wolverine stories. Because Marvel Comics Presents, which ran I think from 1988 to 1995, was sort of like one of those magazines titles that didn't have just one story. It usually had 3 or 4 different stories in it. The idea was to introduce less popular characters and give them some exposure. But to carry the book, they had to maybe tack a more popular character on. And in this case, for the first 10 issues, they used Wolverine. So this is a Marvel Comics Presents Wolverine Volume 1. This is the first 10 issues of that, as written by Chris Claremont, legendary X-Men and Marvel writer. And these are all illustrated by John Buscema. Here's all the different. There's the first 10 different covers. And anyway, yeah. So they're just short little stories. Short little chapters. That's why 10 issues is only this thin, because, like I said, it would talk about other characters as you see, as each title shows you. So there's Master of Kung Fu, The Thing, and I believe Man-Thing, not to be confused with Thing or Swamp Thing, of DC. Anyway, so yeah, this is a nice little thing to have because you get to see Wolverine in his identity patch in one of Marvel's other fictional little places, like they've got Genosha and other places. This is Madripoor, fictional city in Southeast Asia, somewhere south of China, I suppose. And this is neat. You have Wolverine. He's not really known as Wolverine here. People don't know him, so he's in his patch identity, just this wandering stranger type. And these issues highlight an encounter he has with a local crime lord and trying to take him down and restore order to the area. It's just nice storytelling, nothing special. Claremont really knows his stuff. Nobody knows the X-Men better than Chris Claremont, I can tell you that. Yeah, it's fun, just good solo action. Wolverine, as Patch. There he is in one of his Patch costumes, the blue, with the interesting mask on him. Going through, doing what he does best, he's Wolverine, and he's the best there is at what he does. And it's got a little sort of almost secret agent type feel to it, which will bring you up to Volume 2, which I also have, which jumps over to issues 38 through 50. The issues in between, of course, feature different characters. And this has a little intro written by Claremont, again in Madripoor, but the intro sort of thing is separated from all the others. It just talks about little themes. All it does is it serves as a preview for upcoming events and new titles. This, continuity-wise, is right before Inferno. Okay, so I don't like this one as much. These stories are written by Marv Wolfman, by the way, and John Buscema is still there, and also Eric Larson to do art. I didn't like this story as much. This starts actually in Hong Kong and then moves throughout into the frontier of China as Wolverine tracks a mysterious force called the Black Shadow that's been leaving a pile of death and destruction in its wake. I didn't like this as much. It just wasn't as interesting a story, but still I think it's good to have. Again, I like him in his patch guise, although you will see him break out the Wolverine duds. Yeah, so, and then the last two are actually little unrelated ones with a little encounter with Spider-Man, and it's more about Spider-Man than Wolverine. Again, continuity-wise, this is in the wake of Fall of the Mutants and before Inferno, so at the time the world at large thinks the X-Men are dead, thought they died in Dallas. It was shown on TV. Talk about that some other day. And anyway, here is what I wanted to get to, which is one of the most famous Wolverine storylines ever, Weapon X, which a lot of people are aware of, but maybe didn't know that it first showed up in the pages of Marvel Comics Presents. These are covering issues, let's see here, 72 through 84. They're all written and illustrated by Barry Windsor-Smith. Did it by himself. You know what I mean. He did the writing and the drawing. Anyway, and that works out in a lot of ways. This, of course, is all flashback and explains the details of how Wolverine got his claws and adamantium skeleton bonded to him. This is the definitive telling of that. It's been flashed back to, it's been mentioned over and over again, and it's brilliantly told. Again, like I said, it sort of works out that we have the writer and artist are the same person in this, because it's very busy. It uses a lot of panels to tell the story. It's a very interesting story, the way it's told. It starts with some nice narration by Wolverine, but actually most of the story does not have him speaking or anything, because he's mostly in captivity and controlled, and it centers around the mysterious people that are doing this to him. Most mysterious of all, of course, is the director of the project, the Professor. This bald guy we got here. We don't get a name for him, but then we have the other guy overseeing it, Dr. Cornelius. He's the man with the beard. And, of course, the assistant, the short-haired woman, Miss Hines. Very efficient, and also the most, maybe it's sort of a stereotype since she's a woman or whatever, but also the most compassionate and understanding, who feels sorry. And Cornelius definitely wonders about the ethical issues that come along with this, too. Anyway, so, they aren't told much, and this details that. Like I said, it's a very interesting, cool way of telling stories. Of course, they're speech balloons, but you'll notice there's a lot of these such caption things too to tell the story, and they're differently colored because often the people speaking will be off panel, so their dialogue will be represented in these caption boxes, and to tell them apart, they're assigned a color. As you can see, there's green for the Professor, there's orange for Cornelius, and again, sort of stereotypical, but whenever Hines is speaking, I believe it's in pink. And so as you see, the panel layout, it can get really busy, and often you'll see very many small panels crammed in. Doesn't matter though, doesn't matter, it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. It's just really well told. Windsor-Smith must have really put a lot of thought into this. It's just one of the best Wolverine stories you can pick up, period. I don't care how much stuff has been written since. It's still the definitive thing, the definitive telling of Wolverine's adamantium bonding process and what the things that went on there. It all builds to a very exciting conclusion, of course, where he escapes, which I don't think I'm ruining by telling you that. Obviously, everyone knows he got out of there sooner or later. I'm pretty sure, continuity-wise, wandering around the Canadian wilderness after this, not really, remembering much or knowing what was going on. I think that's when he was found by Heather McDonald and her husband, who of course would be affiliated with Department H and eventually the Canadian superhero team Alpha Flight, and that gets into a whole other thing. But anyway, like I said, this is just a wonderful thing. This exists in paperback now. I have, obviously, this is the hardcover edition. It doesn't have any extras or anything. It doesn't have like an intro written or anything like that. It's simply the story. But so if you want to go paperback, that's cool too. It's definitely worth the money. It's not going to cost you a lot. It's not super long. Yeah, I can't recommend this enough. And like I said, there's a lot of Wolverine out there, but if you're not familiar with some of the earlier stuff that he did, this isn't too early. This is late 80s into the 90s. But Chris Claremont, he's just the man when it comes to X-Men stories and stuff. He's really responsible for the voice that you see Wolverine speaking in Marvel Wolfman 2 and Len Wein before that, but really the gruff way of speaking and all that, and the way he narrates and that sort of thing that the writers use today, that really comes from Claremont and those guys, and in these stories, it's some of the best examples. Like I said, it's cool to see Madripoor, it's cool to see Patch, and definitely worth your while and worth your time. We'll talk about Wolverine some other time, of course, because there's so much stuff, but I wanted to talk about that. Anyway, thanks a lot for listening, and peace. I'll see you next time. Sooner, later than later, hopefully.